Hey everybody, it's Monday, May something or another. I never know. I never know what day of the week it is anymore. But here's another update from Jewel Street Paradise. This is my backyard garden. Okay, so the last video showed some tomatoes that we transplanted amongst buckwheat, and the buckwheat is getting much bigger, but the tomatoes are looking great too. Very healthy. We've even got some blooms on some of them, ready to start fruiting. They look really crowded, but what you don't see is that I went through and pulled a lot of the buckwheat from around where the tomatoes are. So this buckwheat is going to basically serve as a ground cover, and then when it blooms, the bees are going to love it. I've been kind of pruning some of it down around the tomato plants, and then the chickens have been too. Chickens are nature's pruners, I guess, but they just prune everything. Chickens also really love buckwheat. I planted some buckwheat in here too, and the chickens have mowed quite a bit of it down. They really enjoy it. It grows really fast, so if there are any dead spaces in your garden that you want to fill in quickly, consider throwing buckwheat down. It's a really beautiful plant and attracts pollinators. It attracts also a bunch of beneficial insects. So yeah, give it a try. In here we've got a bunch of greens growing amongst a little smattering of buckwheat. I figured it'd be fun to just try and grow things really thick and lushly and not in sort of rows, not in neat rows like I have before in the past. So I can come out here and start picking some greens, thinning it out a little bit so that the ones that are here are not competing for nutrients. So I'll probably thin some of this stuff out a little bit this week so that the plants can bulk up a little bit. Our pea shoots are nice and tall. I basically just threw them in the ground, so it looks like some of these are ready to be harvested. Planted some herbs around here, and it looks like something might be chewing them up a little bit. We've got some lemon verbena, some basil, some lantana, pineapple sage. Over here I've got some mints. Our raspberries are bulking up. Lavender. For compost, I've got bags of burlap on top of it just to keep the flies at bay, but as you can see, there are a lot of worms in there and quite a bit of harvestable compost. So what I'm going to have to do is get my compost sifter out and start sifting. Chickens laid an egg today. This is a random fun ornamental pot that I planted with parsley and some mustards and some collards. Our Mizuna up here in the chicken coop bolted. This is what happens when the plant is like, alright, I'm ready to put my genetic material onto the world for propagation. So it produces flour, which you could see insects really like. Bees love any sort of brassica seed, and Mizuna mustards are in the brassica family. My parsley is also bolted, so I'm going to pull this up and put something else in there. You got some time. This is my favorite little section of the garden, our meadow planters. We've got some runner beans planted in here with a little bit of dill thrown in the mix. I love dill. I can't get enough of it. I'm very excited to eat some. In here, we've got some sunchokes that I planted last year that are growing. So they're going to flower and produce lovely little yellow blooms that I'm going to be really excited about seeing. And then we'll dig up the tubers and eat them. And then here I planted a bunch of onions, which, as you can see, they're actually just starting to sprout up. I stuck them in the ground last week. They're already starting to sprout. Got some more tomatoes, collards, and then some geraniums thrown into this planter. These are going to be white currant tomatoes, which are my favorite type. They produce a multitude of these wonderful little pale white yellow cherries. They're sweet and abundant, and at the end of the season I end up with a ton of green tomatoes that I can pickle. They're so good, so good. If you could find them, you should definitely consider growing a couple of them. You don't need many. Here's another teepee here. Neil made these teepees. He did a great job. And for those of you who don't know him, Neil's my boyfriend of 4 years who's helped me out here and there with a lot of projects. But he planted some yard-long beans in here. I haven't seen them germinate yet. It was only a week ago, so they should be coming up anytime now. In the back, some purple stringless pole beans, which will probably end up climbing up over my neighbor's fence, but so be it. And his hyssop. The lawn's coming in. Instead of planting grass this year, I spread some compost and mixed it in and planted this stuff called herbal ley. It's a mixture of a bunch of pasture grasses, clovers, weeds, things that are considered weeds like plantain and what else? Lots of stuff. There's some like wild kales and stuff. I'm really excited that it's coming in. The chickens seem to be enjoying it.